Have you ever worked at something so hard that you pushed and you pushed and you worked at it and it didn't work out? And you kept thinking, maybe if I just try harder, maybe if I just do more, but you don't see results. And you end up thinking, I am so exhausted and so tired that I don't even want to do this anymore. I can't see the bigger picture anymore because I've been at this and trying, and I'm just not seeing the results that I want or that I need. And you're exhausted and want to quit. What's the problem here? You keep trying, you keep doing, right? What if? What if there's a different way? What if instead of trying so hard and pushing more, what if you change something? Hey, I'm Coach Pamsky. I empower businesswomen and female leaders to look at the root cause of their personal stress, change it, and transform it into a strength and achieve emotional well being so that they can calm the chaos and thrive while alive. So let's dive into this. If trying harder is making you exhausted, what is change? What do we change? How do we change it? So, have you ever heard the expression that doing the same thing over and over and over again and you don't get any different result is insanity? Insanity is doing that same thing. You just keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and you don't get a different result. And yet, that's what you're looking for, right? You keep doing it, you keep pushing. Well, let's talk about why does it not work? First of all, if you are trying so hard, why is it not working? Well, maybe you need to apply a different solution. Maybe what you're doing by doing the same thing over and over again, maybe you just need to do something different. And maybe that is looking for a change, making a change. And we'll talk more about that here in a second. The reason it doesn't work also is because you're so burned out. Just like I started with this video, if you keep going with the same thing and you're not getting a different result, you're exhausted. You're burned out. And when you're burned out, do you feel like doing anything? No, you don't. You want to quit. Let me ask you something. If you quit, will anything change? Nope. You'll still keep getting the same thing over and over. There's another reason why you keep trying harder is not working. And it's because maybe what's happening here is you have a fear of change. Maybe you don't do anything different because if you do something different, what will it require of you? Do you know that we fear the unknown more than anything else? And if we fear the unknown, it keeps us stuck. Fear can keep us stuck. So maybe that's something you need to look at. Am I afraid of the unknown? Am I afraid of what's going to happen if I make a change? Maybe it's why you keep doing the same thing over and over. So what needs to change then? And I want to talk a little bit about how does this affect you besides being exhausted and tired and wanting to give up? Do you realize that when you keep doing the same thing, you keep pushing and trying harder and you don't get the results that you're looking for? Do you know what that says to you? Have you stopped and really thought about and examined What message goes through your head when you're trying so hard and it's not working? I will bet that the message is mostly, "See, you're not good enough. See, you're not trying hard enough. See, you'll never be enough." Mm. What does that hurt? That hurts your self-worth. It hurts your self-esteem. It makes you feel like you not only can't do enough, but you can't be enough. All of a sudden, this affects your identity. This affects something really deep within you, and that's rough. That is rough, and when you get to that point, it no longer is just that you're exhausted, it starts to become a depression. You start to feel depressed, which can spiral you into a really hard and bad place. And maybe you know that. Maybe you've been there before, or maybe you're there right now. And so, what I want to say is sometimes we need to take a step back. And if you are there right now, what I want you to do is I want you to reassess. Okay? Because that's our first step here. If we're gonna do something different, if we're gonna make a change instead of keep doing what we were doing, we need to assess what is going on here. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at what what got you here? What do you keep doing over and over and over the same and never getting the results that you're hoping for? I would make a list of that. Be careful of that. When you make the list, I think I would stop at 3. There may be other things that need changed or other things that you're not seeing the results in. So let's pause a minute here because I really want to give you some examples so that you understand what I'm talking about here. Have you ever had a relationship where you feel stuck in. You feel like it's a stalemate. You keep saying the same things over and over, and they're not getting it. The relationship doesn't grow. You feel frustrated. Maybe you feel like leaving because you keep pushing and you keep doing, but that person just isn't getting it. Okay, now we both know we can't change people. We can only change ourselves, right? But what if you could approach it differently? What if you pushing isn't the problem? What if you shifted? What if you did something different? What if you made a change and you looked at your communication styles? Maybe the way you're communicating to this person isn't the way that they need it. And so, because of that, you keep getting the same results and you feel frustrated. But what if you changed how you communicate with them? Now, sometimes you might need someone to help you, a good coach, someone to guide you. I'm here for you if that's something you would like to do. But what if you did it differently? What if you could change the way you say things? Sometimes we say things out of habit or out of anger or out of frustration. And if we said it differently, or maybe with a different attitude, because if we're going to talk about communication, there's more ways than one to communicate, right? And so, what if our body language changed? Or what if our attitude was different going into it? Or maybe, what if we just change the words? Okay. So another example might be, what if you are working at work? You're working really hard at work and you feel overwhelmed because you have been working so hard. Maybe you're running a business, maybe you're with a company and you are working your little heart out. And you feel exhausted, you're tired, but you don't feel like you're really making any progress. And you're tired of coming home exhausted. You're tired of working overtime, or you're tired of trying to please everybody at work. What if and you keep doing it and you keep doing it. What if you took some time out for you? What if you decided to have some self-care so that you're not so exhausted in doing for others, or you're not so exhausted for working so much? Because sometimes we just need to take some time out for us. And self care isn't just a bubble bath or meditation. Those are some things that you could do, but there's lots of ways. And we're going to get into one of them in this next one. The next example is, what if you have a child who continues to not clean their room or continues to argue with you, and you get angry and you just start yelling at them, or you feel offended and you're angry with them? Usually what happens in a situation like that is somebody shuts down, and what's being said is hitting the wall. What if, instead of yelling and screaming and saying the same words over and over and over again, what if you had a boundary? Because you see, a boundary is a part of self care. So, what if you had a boundary in place and you enforce that boundary with consequences? Ooh, this is good. This is good. I actually have a course all about boundary setting, and how do you prepare yourself? How do you even know where your boundaries need to be? How do you set them? What do you do when people cross your boundaries? And it the course starts out with myths that we believe about boundaries, because our mindset has everything to do with this. So make sure you go to my website and you'll see the course there, and get in it. It's really, really good, and it will help you set boundaries. But setting boundaries is a part of self-care, and maybe that's the change that you need to make. So, as we look at this, maybe what we need to do when we talk about, okay, what all do I need to do here? Maybe we just need to focus on one thing at a time. So, when I told you to make a list and just limit it to three, because you can always go back and make another list, on that list, only look at one thing at a time. Only focus on one change at a time. And pick something that's small. And you might ask, Pam, why would I do that? Why would I pick something small? Because one, it won't take as much effort. When something takes too much effort, we don't want to do it. We procrastinate. We put it aside. Well, I'll get to it, or we avoid it altogether. So if we start with something small, then we will see the results of that. And when we see the results of that, we are encouraged to do it again, to pick another one and work at it, and then pick another one. So don't feel overwhelmed when you think, oh my goodness, I have all these things I need to make a change in because I've been doing it all the same for all these years. Pick one thing and make a small change. See the results, let it encourage you, and then go to the next one. It's a beautiful way to be able to see different results, and it makes you feel good because you realize, oh, and actually, a lot of times it takes less effort. It really does. It takes, when we're getting angry and disappointed and frustrated, that takes a lot of energy from us, a lot of energy. And sometimes making a little change can totally make it better and less effort. So look at those little changes, and I want you to be open to growth. Be open to growth. When you make these changes, you're going to grow. And hopefully that's something you want, is to grow. And with my ladies, I always say, we want to mature. We want to be more mature. We want to grow and mature. Why? Because there's a lot of peace in that, and that's what we're looking for. Really, if you ask me, "Pam, what is it that I'm really looking for?" You're looking for 2 things. There's there's certain things in this, but one is peace and one is joy, and you will have a whole lot more peace in it. So as you go through this, get a pen, get paper, sit down, and the first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about how has how when you're doing the same thing over and over again and you're not getting a different result, how has not making a change affected your self-worth? And that's where I want you to start. Not to beat you up, but for you to realize, wow, this has really been hindering me feeling good about me. And when we think about what God says about us, He says that we are wonderfully and fearfully made. And yet we don't feel that way. Well, maybe it's because we keep doing the same thing over and over. So, how is this affecting your self-worth? And then the second thing I want you to do is I want you to look at what fear or belief is keeping you stuck in this cycle, because that's awareness. When you begin to see, "Oh, wow, I'm afraid that they're gonna be upset with me," or, "I'm afraid that I don't even know what's gonna happen if I do this," or, "I'm afraid that it won't change." Write those fears down, because once you see the fears, it's like, okay, you can start speaking truth to the fears. It's amazing. It's amazing. And you deserve so much better. You deserve so much better. But sometimes it takes these little shifts, little tweaks. I like to call them tweaks. Sometimes we just need to tweak things. So think about, what changes do you need to make? And I want you to remember, sometimes the slightest little change, the slightest little step in the right direction can be the biggest step that we ever take in our life. It's time to thrive while alive.